We're going to talk about the identity matrix and then lead into inverse. Okay? So does anybody remember the identity matrix? Does anybody remember what it has? No? Okay. The main diagonal.
Oh, the zero.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The zeros and the ones. So on that main diagonal, you're going to have ones. Okay, so your main diagonal will have ones. The rest are zeros.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that's the identity matrix, and that'll kind of come full circle here by the end of today. Okay, let's talk about properties of inverse of a matrix. So the inverse of a matrix is kind of similar to the negative of a number. Okay, very similar to the negative of a number. It's kind of just taking the opposite in a way. Okay, for us to take an inverse, the matrix has to be square. What does it mean for a matrix to be square? Give me an example of a square matrix. Or what by what?
2 by 3.
2 by 2. Okay? 2 by 2. Same on the top and the bottom, or in the column. Or 3 by 3, or 4 by 4. Okay? When a matrix has an inverse, we call it non-singular. Non-singular. What does singular mean? One, right? So if it's non-singular, that means, guess what? It has a partner, the inverse. Okay? If it is singular, then it has no inverse. Okay, so when it's no inverse, then it's singular. We write the inverse of a matrix A as A to the negative first. Guys, please stop talking. Okay, A to the negative first. That's how we'll indicate that we have an inverse of a matrix. Okay, so if I say matrix A is this, you'll say matrix A to the negative first. I just call it A1 usually. Okay, that will be how we know the inverse of a matrix. All right, so when we're taking the inverse, this is what you need to know right here. Okay, that is our formula for the inverse of a matrix. I want you to specifically look right here. Does that look familiar? AD minus BC. Remember when we did A times D minus B times C? What is that called? What were we finding? Well, determinant. So basically 1 over the determinant. And then if you look here, okay, D and A. The original one is A and D. So for your formula, you just flip-flop those numbers. Okay, so you'll just switch those. Then for B and C, over here, you flip the sign on B and C. That's how you get it set up. Okay, so it's going to make sense when we put some numbers in here. All right, so let's do this one together, okay? It's telling you right here, non-singular. Does that mean that it has an inverse? Yes, it has an inverse, okay? So, inverse of matrix A. I put the formula right up here, okay? 1 over the determinant. So we're going to go ahead and do that together. So we're going to do 2 times 1 is 2. And then 1 times 1 is 1. Keep in mind, there's always subtraction in the middle. Okay, now, it says here, we do dx. So we take those 2 numbers and we flip them. So this 2 and this 1, we're just going to flip those. Okay, and then this 1 and this 1, we just change their signs. All right, from here, it's just simplifying. So this would be like 1 over 1. What's 1 over 1? Just 1. So I'm just going to change that to 1. Okay, now, if that was a number other than 1, okay, say it was 2, what would you do with the 2, do you think? You would distribute it into your matrix, because we learned matrix scalar multiplication 2 days ago. Okay, so you would just multiply that. Here, since the 1 doesn't really mean anything, okay? There is your inverse matrix. That's all you have to do. Questions for me? Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one together. Okay, so if we look at our determinant, okay, what's going to be my first number? Four times 3. 12 minus 6 times 2. 12. Okay? Go ahead and let's set it up. What am I going to do with my 4 and my 3? Switch them. What about my 6 and my 2? Make them, or change their signs. All right, now we simplify. What's my denominator going to be? 0. What is it? What usually happens? Like when we're talking about slope, what do we call it when we have 0 in the denominator? Undefined. Guess what? Can't happen. So when this happens, this is a case where we're non-singular. Okay? There's no matrix. There's no inverse matrix. So if you get 0 in the denominator, you can stop because it's going to be non-singular. Okay? So there's no inverse here. Okay, I want you to try examples 3 and examples 4 at the bottom. Go ahead and try 3 and 4. I'm going to put the answer up here for you so you can check yourself. Oh, that's not right. All right, friends, there's your final answer for example 2. This is if you multiply, okay? And then to simplify, okay, these guys right here need simplified. So I simplified those down here. If you didn't simplify, it's not the end of the world, but you have to get used to doing that. Okay, on your quiz, I'll take off points if you don't simplify those. Okay, so I'm going to show you simultaneously how to do this in your calculator. We'll check the next one on our calculator. Okay, so if you have a calculator, go ahead and get that out. It's a fairly easy process. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and enter a matrix A. If you look at example 3, I'm sorry, example 4, it is a 2 by 2. So we're going to put that in. Yeah, so from example number 4. So we're doing the last example, example number 4.
Just typing it in.
Yep, just typing it in. Okay, any issues on typing that in? Okay, so here's what we do. Go ahead and press your second mode or quit. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and enter matrix A. So go ahead and enter matrix A. So second matrix, choose number 1A. Then, okay, our notation is to the negative first. So down here, the matrix button, we usually press second and then matrix, but that actual button by itself will give us that negative first power. So go ahead and put that on there, press enter, and it'll give you. You guys get crazy numbers for that one?
Yeah, I got like.
If you change it to fractions, math enter enter, you should get nice numbers. Well, they're fractions, nice fractions. Okay, so that's how you do that in your calculator. Okay, on your quiz, you will have to do them by hand. Okay, and you will be able to use your calculator for some things as well. But you do need to know how to do a 2 by 2 by hand. Okay, we'll have more practice on that on Monday and Tuesday. Questions on that? Okay, so that was the answer to example number 4. All right, we're going to actually use our skills of finding an inverse, okay, on the calculator to solve a system of equations. So that's why I teach you inverse. I don't teach you it just to find the inverse. I'm teaching you something so that you have another way of solving an equation. Okay, so if we flip here, okay, we have a 3 by 4. Go ahead and fill in matrix A. Matrix A is everything on the left side of the equal sign. Okay, so your X, your Y, and your Z. So go ahead and fill in matrix A. Please get off of your cell phones and please pay attention. This is new, okay? This is what you're going to be tested on Wednesday. And you're going to need it for task 4, which we're going to do next week as well. Okay, so everything on the left side of the equal sign, that's what's going in here. Okay, matrix X is your variable matrix, X, Y, and Z. Since we have a 3 by 4 system, please stop talking, warning number 2. Okay, since we have a 3 by 3, that's going to be X, Y, and Z. And then B is just your answers, everything on the right side of the equal sign. Okay, yep. Yeah, just X, Y, and Z. It's just your variable. And you'll see why here in a little bit. It makes sense. Okay, any questions on filling in A, X, or B? All right, good news, you can just use your calculator to find the inverse of that matrix. So we're going to go ahead and do this in our calculator, enter that in our calculator. Okay, and I would check and make sure that's right, because we're going to use it for a lot of things. So make sure you have the correct matrix A. once you're done with that, how do we find the matrix? How do we find our matrix? I'm sorry, how do we find the inverse matrix? How do we find the inverse matrix on our calculator? Jordan? Put in your matrix. To the negative first. It's that fourth button on the left-hand side if you're on a TI 83 or 84. And you can press enter. Math enter will give you the fractions. Okay? So go ahead and write down a to the negative first. Go ahead and write that down. This will be the next line on your note. Okay? Any questions on that process so far? We're gonna do a question?
No.
Okay, step 3. Okay, now we're, yep. Okay, on step 3, go ahead and fill in A, X, and B again. Okay, I know it seems silly, but it's just the process of learning. So go ahead and fill in A, X, and B. Okay, so step 3. Okay, go ahead and fill in your A, your X, and your B here. Okay, so here's what's happening in step 3. We're going to take both sides of our matrix equation. Okay, so we have AX equals B. And we're going to multiply both sides by the inverse of A. Okay, that's what's going to happen in our next step. So you're going to have A to the negative first times A. You're going to do that in your calculator. So let's do that together. That's what your equation's going to look like. Okay? So we're going to do that in the calculator together. We're going to do A times A inverse. Any guesses on what's going to happen when we do A times its inverse? It's going to get what? Yep, it's going to get us the identity matrix. If it doesn't, then we know that we did something wrong. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that in our calculator. You should already have A in there. So it's really, really easy. If you just press second matrix, choose A, and then put the negative first on it, times A. And go ahead and enter matrix A. If you press enter, you'll get the identity matrix. Okay, so here, you don't have to write all of these numbers, and again, don't worry about doing that. But you do want to know that right here is where you get your identity matrix. That's what we got for A1 times A. Now we're going to do A1 times B. So you're going to have to go in and put matrix B in there, okay, which is the 3, negative 3, 2 matrix. That small 3 by 1 matrix. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do A1 times B. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to edit, put in matrix B. It's a 3 by 1. Okay, and we're doing A1 times B. When you put that in, you should get a result. 1, 2, negative 2. Any questions on that? Any issues? Okay, so if we go back to our notes, our A1 times B was 1, 2, negative 2. This is where our matrix X comes into play. We know that that row 1 is always what value? X. So our X value is 1, our Y value is 2, and our Z value is negative 2. That's how you solve a system using inverse. Okay? It's not going to be that long when you do it. It's actually a lot quicker when you do it by hand. You'll just enter A and B. You'll do A1 times A, B times A1, and it's easy. Okay? We're going to go ahead and do another practice problem together. What's different about this practice problem than the one we just did? Right, it's not 3 by 4. Now it's smaller, but that's fine. We can do the same exact process. Okay, so go ahead and write your matrix out. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and pick out our matrix A and our matrix B. Remind me, where do I get matrix A from? The left-hand side. And then B, the right-hand side. What's going to be included in matrix X this time? Just X and Y, because we only have 2 variables. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and enter matrix A and matrix B in your calculator. You're going to do A1 times A and A1 times B. Yeah, if you're done, that's fine. Sorry, it's taking me a minute here. Yeah, if you're done, you can keep practicing. Alright, so guys, I put my matrix in here. Alright, so there's my A1 times A. Okay, again, if you don't get the identity matrix, let me know. I can come check and see what's going on because that should work out fine. And then you do A1 times B. So for this problem, for your final answer, what's x? -3. And y? Yep. That's how you write your final answer. Okay, go ahead and try 2 and 3 on your own. Try 2 and 3 on your own.